course, a lot of debris to clean up, but we will get working with that with the local communities to make sure that the roads are cleared and people can go back to their lives.
Governor Ron DeSantis, who says 5,500 National Guard members and rescue crews are now in search and recovery mode, inspecting bridges, clearing toppled trees, and looking for any people who may need help.
Idalia made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane at Keaton Beach and then moved north over Perry, Florida, a town of about 7,000, including Patty Pickett.
It's bad. That was heavy winds. Worst I've ever been in.
Idalia's 125-mile-an-hour winds knocked down trees and power lines in Perry. National Guard troops are searching for storm victims while utility crews work to restore electrical service. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Tampa.
At least 3 weather-related deaths have been reported, 2 in Florida, 1 in Georgia. President Biden called Governor DeSantis to promise federal support. Ahead of the holiday weekend, a high risk of rip currents is messing up folks on Long Island looking for one last summer outing at the beach.
Governor Hochul suspended swimming yesterday at Robert Moses, Hither Hills, and Jones Beach because of rough conditions due to Hurricane Franklin. And here in Long Beach, the surf was too rough to go into the water. Also, of course, for restaurant owners on the beach, since they have a seasonal business, every day counts, and they're hoping the restrictions are lifted before the busy Labor Day weekend. The restrictions will be lifted depending on the conditions, but things are looking good, says State Park spokesperson George Gorman.
Beginning Friday at one point and then through the weekend, the forecast is good. We will be up and running.
And since Long Island is known for its beaches, everyone hopes that will be the case. Sophia Hall, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Several beaches in Westchester are closed, but that's due to high bacteria levels.
Westchester and the South Shore community have gotten an unusually high amount of rain this season, says County Deputy Health Commissioner Chris Erickson.
Water that's going over streets, over parks, over those just normal type of living environments that's going into storm drains, and sometimes those storm drains go directly out into the water body.
And the bacteria in that water isn't safe. 8 beaches in the county are closed until further notice, including the popular Rye and Playland Beach.
In some places around the Long Island Sound where the water doesn't flush out as quickly through tidal changes, you may see some of that stagnant water sitting there for longer periods of time.
The county samples the beach water once a week, and if there's more than half an inch of rain, beaches will automatically close. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Well, aside from the high risk of rip currents, today at our beaches, we're looking at a gorgeous day. Mostly sunny. AccuWeather says it'll be breezy at times. We'll get up to 78 degrees. You're at 66 now in Maspeth, 64 Patterson, 59 up in Brewster, and 66 partly cloudy in Central Park. Winds News Time 7:06. Today marks exactly 4 years until Rikers Island is supposed to close. But now, with Mayor Adams calling on the city council to revisit that plan, there's a renewed debate and a rally planned for later this morning.
Among those attending the rally today, Controller Brad Lander, Public Advocate Jamani Williams, and Darren Mack. He's the founder of the group Freedom Agenda. He says Mayor Adams must comply with the legal and moral mandate to shut down Rikers within this time period in 2027.
Like they always say, a broken clock is correct twice a day. He has to follow the law just like everyone else. But he's undermining the plan by divesting from those critical services and programs that vulnerable community and marginalized people need.
But for months now, Mayor Adams has been questioning this plan to shut down Rikers. That was the goal put into place by former Mayor Bill de Blasio and build these 4 new jails in various boroughs. The mayor says he's just doing his job.
Now, if the law says, Eric, you have to do A, I'm going to do A. I'm never going to break the law.
And he says the cost of these new jails, not manageable. Glenn Shuck, 1010 Winds, and 92.3 FM at City Hall Park.
Well, the rally, 10 a.m. outside City Hall. The mayor to host a 10 a.m. rally in Foley Square, in which he's expected to again call for expedited work authorization for asylum seekers. That was the main ask from Governor Hochul during her sit-down with the White House Chief of Staff and Homeland Secretary.
Let them work. Find a path so these individuals can get what they came here for, the ability to be independent out of the shelters, as well as that humanitarian crisis can be converted into a solution for the other crisis we're experiencing in New York, which is a severe worker shortage.
The governor on New York One is saying that she was told that asylum seekers who have the Customs and Border Patrol app will get notifications about their work status. She also said DHS staffers will be arriving in Manhattan to help process people. So remember this from a protest on Staten Island the other day about a migrant shelter?
If you're not going to do your job there, then let Staten Island secede.
Well, that's Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis, but she's not the only one who feels this way. City Councilman Joe Borelli introduced a bill last year for a study on the idea. Borough President Vito Fossella tells the New York Post he gets it, that Staten Islanders feel like no one's listening and that they might be better off on their own. 20,000 migrant children will be enrolled in public schools in the city when school starts next week. Schools Chancellor David Banks says the system can handle it. And he notes,
there have been some schools where they've gotten kind of almost more than their fair share. They've got more students than others. In those places, we've worked really hard to try to mitigate for that.
He says a program rolled out last year called Project Open Arms will provide help with enrollment, mental health, transportation, and translation services. Experts at Stanford University have found genetic links now between Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, specifically that people with a particular version of a gene involved in immune response had a lower risk of both illnesses. Stanford professor Emmanuel Mignot says the finding could help them work on a preventative.
I believe that it shows that the immune system is not only important to protect against infection, but also can be very important to protect ourselves against damaging things that happen in our brain.
Their research involved 100,000 Alzheimer's patients and 40,000 with Parkinson's. The study is published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell appeared to have another medical episode yesterday, again freezing up, seemingly unable to speak, while being questioned by reporters in Kentucky. This lasted about 30 seconds.
McConnell's office tells me that he does plan to see a physician before his next event. Leaders on both sides of the aisle wishing him well. President Biden saying,
I know people don't believe that's the case, but we have disagreements politically, but he's a good friend.
This is certainly putting a spotlight on the age and the health of leaders on both sides of the aisle, including the frontrunners in the race for the White House. President Biden is 80, Donald Trump is 77.
Correspondent Rachel Scott. In both cases, McConnell's staff said the senator felt lightheaded. So it turns out that nearly 200-year-old time capsule at West Point that we thought was a dud had hidden treasure after all.
The U.S. Military Academy says the lead box actually contained 6 silver American coins dating from 1795 to 1828 and a commemorative medal. The find seems to confirm a theory that the time capsule was placed in a monument by cadets in 1828 or 1829. A West Point archaeologist says they'll continue to sift through to see if they can find out more about the contents in the box. Moisture and sediment may have seeped in from a damaged seam, potentially disintegrating any organic matter inside, such as wood or paper. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Gourmet Water 2.0. We'll have that story coming up first. At 7:11, let's get traffic and transit on the ones with Karen Stewart.
Good news in Brooklyn, the drama is over on the westbound Bell Parkway. The accident plus the broken down tow truck have both been cleared at exit 9B. And the delays, poof, gone just like that. So we're in good shape on the Bell Parkway. In Queens, both directions to Jackie Robinson Parkway, police activity is clearing at Union Turnpike, so that's good news. In the Bronx, we have a new accident southbound on the Bronx River Parkway and Pelham Parkway. One lane is blocked with a hit there. Well, Tuesday's water main break continues to haunt us. We've got southbound 7th Avenue between West 42nd and 41st with only one lane open. It's not going over well with only one lane on 7th Avenue. It was horrible yesterday. Avoid 7th Avenue if you can, please. I'm sure you can. 40th Street is closed between 7th and 8th Avenues due to Tuesday's water main break as well. And as we check what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels, it's a half hour into the George for both levels. And we have an accident on the inbound upper on-ramp to the southbound Henry Hudson. Inbound Lincoln is 20, inbound Holland is 25, with alternate side of the street. In effect today citywide. We are sponsored by Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. Our next report is 7:21. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this morning commute for the Driving in the News playlist for today, August 31, 2023. We'll see you on the next video.